what you are looking for is also looking for you, and you are preventing him from looking for you by looking for him. That is what Rumi did not say. Let us complete Rumi's statement. God is looking for you and you are looking for God, and God keeps on looking for you. God cannot find you precisely because you are looking for God. You stop looking for God and God will immediately find you. It's like this. You tell somebody to meet you at the Madison Square. The other fellow is looking for you. And by the time the other fellow comes looking for you to the Madison Square, you have gone to some other place looking for that fellow. How will he ever get you? You stop looking. Your effort is not needed. God alone is sufficient. Your efforts are a barrier. When you are looking for God, you are operating from an ego point which says that you are powerful enough to look for God. You look for God only in one way, if you are a real seeker, by letting God look for you. You can never be an agency of unity. You would always be an agent of separation. You cause separation when you look for separation, and you cause separation even when you look for unity. Don't look for anything, don't try anything. God's efforts are absolute and sufficient. He does not even need to be effortful. He is so absolute. Your little efforts can add nothing to the efforts of God. In fact, your efforts are always a distraction, always a spoiler. You know how God looks for you? By making you see that you do not need to look for Him. That is His way. And saints have since ancient times pointed out to this central flaw, this central mistake that seekers make, the mistake of searching. In your search, searching is the only mistake that you can make. When you are seeking, seeking is the only mistake that you can make. If you are seeking, if you are indeed a searcher, seek small things, search for the little. Go and pick a glass of water. That is a rightful object of search. Go and seek some property, some book, some person, some place. That much is all right. But to seek God is too much, just too much. It is like a rabbit claiming that it can hold the falling skies upon its relatively big ears. Too much. And you know what is the central assumption contained in searching? You search for something only when the thing is lost, only when first of all the thing is not present somewhere. If you are indeed searching for God, show me where God is not. And in searching for God, your fundamental assumption, the point that you start from, is that you are not God. The point that you start from will always be the point that you end up at. If you start with the assumption that God is somewhere afar, if you start with the assumption that you are not God, even after 100 years of practice and search, you will only come to conclude that God remains as afar as in the beginning. Start from the right place if you want to end rightly. Start by firstly accepting that God is here now, immanent, and the only question then that remains to be asked is, why am I not able to see you? Not that I need to search for you. These are two very, very different points to start from. First point says God is lost. Second point says God is here, of course. Why am I not able to look at God? Then you stop being a barrier. Then you stop acting as the deterrent, as the irritant.
Actually, yeah, I'm agree with that. My question was like, when you start searching, and if you slip, then it puts you back. I didn't get that part of it.
You see, you start answering your questions. You start looking at your own prejudices. You start looking at how you are a barrier. That is what is really meant by search. Yes, we came to this in my previous answer, that search does not mean that you have to look for God. Search means that you have to ask, why am I unable to look at the obvious? Why am I unable to look at that which is omnipresent? That is what is meant by searching. Now, if you are asking this question, it will keep exposing all your inner conspiracies. It will keep exposing all the intricacies of the ego. The more your ego is exposed, the more humiliating it would be, because you will come to see that you yourself have been conniving against yourself. That is when you will want to stray away. That is what I meant by slipping. We all have a nice self image of ourselves. That is what we live with. That is what we can't live without. When you start answering the question, why am I unable to look at the obvious? What is exposed is your own innate cleverness. It is not pleasing to look at. You see that our insides stink. You see that our mind is deeply rooted in deception. You don't want to look at that. The more you look at that, the more is the tendency then to go away. Because the more you look at that, the more is the responsibility to correct it. You have seen something, you cannot unsee it now. One does not want to bear that responsibility. So, the tendency then to slip away is great. The closer you come to the truth, in fact, the closer you come to even a teacher, the greater is the shattering of one's self image. First of all, you find the teacher is not subscribing to your image, and secondly, you find that the teacher is not only not what his image was, he is also not allowing you to remain with your image. All of that is quite uncomfortable. One feels like running away.
In this case, maybe I'm struggling with that. I did the shamanic ceremony with ayahuasca, and I met with the greatest one. in that ceremony. And one of the experience that I had, I saw whole my life, and I'm 38 years old, and in like an hour, what I want, where I want, whom I want, and what I want. And I planned and I did everything in that greatness showed me. Then I end up with conclusion oneness. Maybe that's where I get confused. So after that, you seen something like that and you never experience it, but you want to be with him. So that's why I started to do some meditations and stuff to reach that greatness. But maybe that's why I get a little bit confused. Maybe I wasn't ready to face that truth.
Nothing like that ever happens.
No.
All of that is just a game of the mind. Nobody ever meets the truth. All of this movement of time and movement of 38 years in 1 hour, all of that is just like a camera reel being fast forwarded. None of that is beyond the periphery of mental activity. You need not take any of that seriously. The truth is not an object or a person that you can ever meet. It is all so very simple that there is nothing glittering about it, nothing at all noticeable, nothing significant. The truth will disappoint you with its utter nakedness and total simplicity. The truth is nothing that you can remember as a hallmark event. So, you can safely discount all these experiences that you might have had. The mind is an animal that lives in experiences. It is forever hungry for experiences, and the more fantastic an experience is, the more the mind takes it as a semblance of truth. But fantastic experiences or dull experiences or routine experiences, they are all nevertheless just experiences. So, you do not need to give one priority or credibility over the other. They are all just the same. Even as you sit here and you experience the cool breeze against your cheek, that is just the same as, you know, experiencing Jesus or Krishna or the ultimate one or the magnificent one in some esoteric spiritual ceremony. They are all just one and same. It does not matter whether in your dream you come to see ordinary dogs and cats, or in your dream you come to see saints and prophets and God Almighty Himself. A dream is just a dream. A dream in which you see God Almighty does not become a holy dream. In fact, it becomes a more dangerous dream. So, discount, forget all of that. Truth is not something to be noticed. Where truth is, there the noticing agency fails to detect it. Only the limited can be detected, only the qualified can be detected, only the marked can be detected. Truth is neither qualified nor limited nor marked. Truth has no characteristic at all. How will you ever notice it? Truth is not at all given to experience. Only that can be experienced which is within the purview of the experiencing senses. Your senses are just too small. Truth is just another dimension. No sense, including the mind, is ever going to detect the truth. That is why surrender is the only way. That is why cessation of all these expectations and all these memories is the only way. If you want to run a good show, then you can conduct any kind of exercise in which people who are anyway eager and desperate to have some experience of godliness can participate, and you will find a large number of such eager people. But if you are really sincere, then desist. If you want something, you know, anybody can give it to you. That's the whole thing with markets. They exist because you want. The moment you want something, you will find it appearing in the markets. That's how products and services keep changing. If you are so keen on finding God, some shop will offer you God.
What you seek is seeking you.
That is so true about markets. Today, if you loudly declare that you are seeking some God salt or God sharbat, in 1 month from today, somebody will find a way to package it and supply it to you.
So it's all mind game.
Obviously. Where else are games played? God is nothing that happens. God cannot happen to you. God is beyond all happening. You cannot say, it happened to me on that particular day in that particular ceremony. God is not a happening, not a particular happening. God is the foundation of all happening. You cannot particularize Him.
Acharya, I'm not sure if I know it correctly or not, but Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa said he saw God. So what does he mean by that?
Did he ever say that he only selectively and sometimes saw God? Sometimes he might become ebullient and euphoric. Sometimes he might start dancing. But did he ever say that he saw God only on specific calendar dates and at appointed times? The one who sees God finds that God is in the seeing. Now it does not matter what you see and where you see and when you see, the seeing itself is godly, the eye is godly, the eye, not the object that the eye sees. God will never be in front of you, God will be behind the eye that is seeing. God will not come as a body in front of you, God will now be behind your eye. So, with that godly eye, now you are looking at this tree. With that godly eye, now you are looking at the sky. With the godly eye, now you are looking at the camera. So, anybody who ever claims that he has seen God on that date and in that way is for sure hallucinating. The seeing has to be godly. The eye must be immersed in God, and that is the nature of the eye. Unless you are determined to obfuscate the eye,